Hey, this is Troy Erickson from the Email Secrets Inner Circle and the Secrets of Scale podcast. Today, I'm back with another really fun episode with someone who Forbes named the #1 coach in a recent article last year. She was also a millionaire by the age of 23 in fitness and business coaching. I'm excited to learn a lot more about her. Her name is Lauren Tickner, and she's here with me today.
Oh my gosh, I loved your email yesterday prior to this podcast going out. Honestly, it made me laugh so much. Like, I was thinking in my head, okay, I know we're recording a podcast tomorrow. So knowing him, this is going to be what the email's all about. And yeah, it was brilliant. Every single time I get an email from you, I'm always opening them. So I was like, well, hey, we've connected now. And, it's great to be able to learn from someone who is really bloody good at what they do and to be able to connect and just, yeah. So thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to see
Yeah,
what the
thank
is.
you. Absolutely. I've seen you around on Instagram for like a very long time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people I've seen on IG, and I just don't know exactly what they do. But you follow them for long enough, you're like, all right, I figured it out. But for the purpose of anybody who's listening, how did you get into internet marketing in the first place? Because it sounds like you have an amazing story. So how did it all start?
So I got into internet marketing actually by mistake. I was honestly never intending to build my own business or anything. I literally just wanted to create an online fitness community, I guess, back then, because I was literally the only person my age. I don't know, 16 or 17 years old, and I was really into weightlifting and bodybuilding style training as like a little kid because I'd lost a bunch of weight really, really quickly. And I saw all these women posting like fitness content back before that was really a thing. And I knew no one else who did it then, like literally no one. And that's one of the things as well that I love about this whole online space. Like everyone's very much into health and fitness and taking care of themselves. But yeah, back then it just wasn't a thing. And so honestly, I just built a bit of a following, not a big following, but a following of people who had seen my transformation from going from overweight to now healthy and just loving fitness and integrating it into my lifestyle. And I started doing online fitness coaching. And I don't know about you if you've ever done a corporate job or anything, but I spent 8 months working in asset management when I was 18. And the only thing that I could think about all day while I was at that job was grabbing my phone so that I could go on Instagram and talk to my friends that I had made. And that's all I could think about. And so long story short, I mean, that job sucked the living daylights out of me. And then I eventually just went all in on the online fitness coaching stuff. And that's how I found out about the whole world of internet marketing. I'm pretty sure it began with learning about ClickFunnels. And I'm pretty sure that I thought ClickFunnels equals funnel, right? And that was like the right word. And yeah, that's literally how it all began. So here we are now, quite a few years later.
Awesome. So what was your very first business that you started in and got traction in?
Well, the one that I started and got traction in was very different than all the various different endeavors that I had had, right? And so I think one of the most common things as internet marketers or people that get into business is like we have this desire to constantly try new things and test different things because it is all really fun and really exciting, especially online, because you can literally create something and launch it in the same day if you really, really put your mind to it. So I had tried drop shipping. I tried building my own brand. I built this fitness accessory business. I did some trading. Oh my gosh, what didn't I do? I did everything. But for me, it was the high ticket fitness coaching. And I really learned how to build a system around that. And it's funny because, the Japanese word ikigai, I'm probably saying that really, really wrong, but it's essentially the intersection between doing what you love, doing what the world needs, doing what you can actually get paid for, and doing your passion. It's the intersection of all those things, which actually allows you to create the biggest meaningful impact in the world. And ultimately, as a byproduct of that, make the most money, change the most lives, and have the most fun all while doing so. And it was right in front of me. It was right in front of my nose what I should be focusing my energy and attention on. But it's like I was getting pulled into all these other different things for whatever reason. And I think now that I look back on it, it was self-sabotage, but it was just subconscious because I don't think I believed in myself and my abilities to go ahead and actually have my own business. And so I kept trying to start all these different things, which were actually just distracting me from doing the thing that I could actually do the best at, which at the time was online fitness coaching. And then me and loads of my friends, we were sponsored by this company called Gymshark, which is pretty big in the UK. I'm not sure how big it is in the States, but it's massive in the UK. And so loads of us, we were traveling and doing all these events and getting all these clothes, and they were paying us a salary. And we all got dropped because they wanted to start sponsoring more big influencers and these massive A-list kind of celeb type of people. And so at that point, I was still traveling and I was going to like Bali and doing all this fun stuff. And my friends were asking me, hey, Lauren, how are you still making money? Like, how are you still doing this? And I told them online coaching, and I gave them some pointers to start it for themselves. And they started posting these graphics saying like, join my email list, sign up for my freebie, like whatever, join this challenge. And it was all stuff that I was helping them with. And so none of them even knew what an email list was, right? And this is the craziest thing, because actually a lot of people still don't understand the importance of owning your own data. Like, owning your own data is the number one most important thing, in my opinion. And so when I helped them with that, they were posting it on their Snapchats. Their friends started asking them like, hey, what is this challenge thing? What is this email list thing? How can I do the same thing? And then my influencer friends sent them to me. And that was actually how Impact School was born now. And that's why I realized, again, this thing is right in front of my nose. I need to pursue this. I need to go all in on this, because I was even better at that than I was at fitness coaching, because I wasn't patient enough for the fitness coaching anymore. I kind of lost my patience for it, because like there's only so many times someone can ask you, is it okay to eat carbs, until you lose your mind, unless you're a bit more patient than me. So
That's funny. Was there a moment was there like a big breakthrough defining moment that you had just in general throughout this whole process where everything clicked for you?
I think these breakthrough moments happen frequently.
That's amazing.
Frequently. And really, it comes down to, are you going to take this moment as a moment of growth, or are you gonna stay where you're at? And I think until I was about, and by the way, I started in this when I was really, really young, like 16, 17 years old with the fitness stuff. I think until I was honestly about 21, I didn't really let these moments dictate where my life was going to go, because I was always so worried, like, what are other people going to think about me? And so a couple of big moments are, number one, when I left my corporate job. And that was because I knew I was never going back. Never. It was like this vortex that goes round and round. And this is how life operates, going round and round and round and round. I was removing myself from that indefinitely. And I knew if I was going to make this decision, okay, it's time to step it up now. And as well as that, I also had to prove to other people that I'm not making a stupid decision, because everyone's told me like, you're making the worst mistake ever. I had a very la-di-da job, and it was very quote unquote impressive to have gotten that job at age 18. But here's the thing, despite looking so successful from the outside, I felt the exact opposite of that. To be honest, I think for me, that's the ultimate definition of failure. Being seen as successful from the outside, but feeling numb and empty on the inside.
That's a good definition.
Because what are you doing it for? What are you doing it for? You are doing something in the pursuit of pleasing others who don't even really care about you, because they're going about their life to try and please themselves. And so while some people say, you know, it's bad to work for money, or money shouldn't define you, or money shouldn't be your definition of success, I don't think that's the worst one, right? I just don't. I think really doing things in the pursuit of others' validation when you yourself are unhappy, oof, no, that's the worst. So yeah, like, look, I mean, it's crazy as well, because I think there are so many little defining moments that if you actually think about them, they can change your life forever. Like, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were kind of just talking about this exact vortex type of situation going on in the world, and how unfortunately so many people get pulled into things and yada yada yada. And it just made me realize further why doing what I do is so important, doing what you do is so important. And as an example, right, it was just a very small conversation, like it wasn't anything crazy, but it actually made me realize why I need to double down and focus so heavily on what I'm doing now, rather than getting distracted by different. I was doing some investing in some crypto projects and doing some sitting on the boards of these companies, and I realized I need to stop doing that, and I need to focus exclusively on this because of this whole situation. And so one little sentence that someone says can actually change your entire life if you let it, and if you're willing to accept the message at the time. And kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, the reason I'm bringing this up again is because, yeah, as entrepreneurs, I think so often we have so much going on in our minds. If you're like me, especially, I'm like extremely ADHD. We have so much going on in our minds that like we don't even give ourselves space to reflect upon what we've spoken about with people or what we've heard in conversations, in podcasts and things like that. And those things can change everything.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought a lot of that stuff up because it really resonates. And lately I've taken some time to actually like take care of myself and think about what I'm doing. And there's been a lot of breakthroughs lately. And I want to reiterate what you said too about how silly it is to look successful on the outside and feel empty on the inside, because I feel that a lot of people need help with that. And I don't want to like dog on them. I just want to let them know that like, hey, you can change that. So if anybody's listening and you're in that situation, like it's okay. Like there's way more to this industry and this business that we're in, and it can be so fulfilling. Those are wise words. Thank you. Now, for anybody, let's say, I mean, there's a lot of fitness coaches out there. My girlfriend is one of them. She's somewhat new.
Amazing.
Yes. And she's kind of in that position that you were talking about where certain things are very difficult. She's gotten a little bit of traction. So what advice would you give to somebody who's a fitness coach and is someone new getting started? Like, how did you have your biggest breakthrough in fitness coaching?
Yeah, well, see, this doesn't even just apply to fitness coaching. And so after I was doing the fitness coaching, then transition, I was exclusively helping fitness influencers. Then I went more broad fitness. And then, to be honest, I just realized it's anyone who wants to have a coaching program or online course or like membership site / platform type of thing. And the biggest thing that I probably just business in general, honestly, when you really think about it, is getting clarity on like what really is the outcome that someone is going to be living in and embodying as a byproduct of working with you. So that really is the key. And it sounds really simple, and that's because it is, but it's so simple, but no one does it. Okay. Now, again, I made this mistake myself because I remember this one time, right? I am, okay, more so now, but back then, if you saw me anywhere near a treadmill or an elliptical or anything to do with cardio, I mean, anyone that knew me would have just thought I'd lost my mind, right? Because I was like the most anti-cardio person ever. Now, I had this one guy, Steven, come to me, and I'm actually still friends with him on Facebook, but he came to me and he told me he wanted to run a marathon and he wanted me to coach him because he really liked my content. And by the way, bearing in mind, I'm like a 19-year-old girl at this point. The majority of my followers were also other young girls who had previously had some type of issues with food. They'd lost a bunch of weight and now they were trying to get strong and build their bodies back up and their minds and everything. And so I was like, yeah, you know what? Why not? I love fitness. I can help you with this, help you with that. So I get coaching this dude. And we're like working together. I'm like trying to build his plan. And I realized it's a Saturday afternoon one day and I had no social life at this time. So I'm cool with it, but whatever. I'm sat there for 6 hours trying to understand how to build a training program for a marathon runner. And I'm so bored and I'm literally hating every moment of it. And I'm trying to tell myself, oh, Lauren, this is great. You're learning more information. But then I just realized, what the heck am I doing? Now, see, me being me back then, I was extremely focused on people pleasing. And I thought that I had to accept every client but what if I don't accept this client and then I don't have another client for months to come? I might not have any money to live off of, right? This is what was going through my mind. So I ended up figuring out how to make his program, but working with him was just such a pain in the ass. So I worked with him for 2 months and I ended up refunding him all the money because I just couldn't do it and I didn't want to do it. And so the reason that I bring this up is because when you're clear on your outcome, which for me was helping women/girls become stronger, both physically and mentally, right? That's my outcome. If I stuck to that, I would have had a much easier time, not only with serving people, but also the marketing, because it ties into that too. So really that is the best and fastest way to figure out where to begin. Now from there, that allows you to eliminate. Elimination is wonderful because again, so much more time comes back in your day. But as well as that, then you're able to essentially reverse engineer how to get to the outcome and chunk it down into multiple different mini outcomes. And so those mini outcomes are also then going to be able to dictate what content you need to give to people so that they can achieve those mini outcomes. And as they achieve each mini outcome, okay, so you give them the content, there's the mini outcome they need to get to. So they do something, right? They submit some work to you. They do an exercise and they film it and they send it to you. They log their macros or they go grocery shopping and whatever it happens to be. It's essentially this like guided learning process, because then what you can do is you don't have to do like one-to-one calls all the time, right? You can actually tell them, okay, here's the content, here's the action plan, here's the outcome you need to hit, do the action plan, submit it to me, I'll then review it for you and then give you feedback and then you can move on. And then you can actually create a framework to take someone from where they are now to their outcome, and it's done in a systematic way. And so a lot of people, they always think, oh, well, I need to build a new group coaching program so that I can scale, or, oh, I need an online course so I can have a passive income, or, oh, I need something that's going to be a bit less hands-off so I'll build a membership site. But my belief is build a framework, and then that framework can be one-to-one if you want to hire coaches. It could be a group program if you want to deliver it that way, and then give people individual feedback as they're going through the framework. It could be a membership site. It could be a self-paced online course. It can be anything, or it can be even all of them. You just sell it at different price points, and that depends on the level of intimacy that they get and the support that they get from you. So I know I kind of go off on one there, but that's how I see it, because I just like to keep things really, really simple. And I've always found that the more simple things are, the less there is, then the more scalable something happens to be.
Absolutely. That's the exact conversation I had 2 days ago. And I'm going through some very fundamental changes in the way that I offer things. But yeah, I love how you mentioned that like the group setting is really key and that's important. But what's more important is the framework, right? Because a lot of people that go out and they build a course or they build some kind of like group, and then they find out like, oh, I built this thing and nobody really wants it. So the best thing you can do to work with your ideal clients, just narrow down, don't worry about other people, work with the people that you want to work with, build the framework, and then turn that into some sort of group. So that's an awesome plan. So when did you get started in coaching in general? It sounds like you were very young.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I took my first coaching client when I was 18, when I was 18. Yeah, I just finished my final exams in what we call sixth form in England, but high school. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, immediately after high school, were you still in coaching, or like when did you quit your job?
My story is so like screwed up, right? Because I finished high school and then I had my summer. And over that summer, I was doing all of these assessment days to try and get this corporate job. I was like so desperate to get it. I wanted this placement so bad. And then I ended up getting it. And I worked there for 8 months. Okay. And then I quit. And then I went all in on the fitness coaching. And then I went to university. Okay. I actually went to university. This is crazy. And this is why I'm even more passionate about Impact School and making it so that entrepreneurs who are bloody good at what they do are able to teach what they do at scale, because I was studying on the UK's #1 business degree, but none of my professors had ever had their own business. None of them. Even the lawyer who was teaching us law, she had never practiced other than like 2 years when she was in university. But she wrote all the textbooks for every single law student in the UK. But she hadn't practiced. And so I'm sat there in these lessons, like listening to them, and I'm on my laptop at the same time, like checking in all my stuff on Instagram, like checking, oh, I gained 2,000 followers today. And I'm like looking at like how many DMs I'm getting, and I'm checking how much my email list has grown and all the people that have downloaded my ebooks and stuff. And I'm sat there and they're teaching all this stuff, which is just so irrelevant. So yeah, I mean, again, like all these things that I've done, I genuinely think they were just, the timing was so divine, because it really, really gave me the fuel under my ass to gain clarity as to why just this online practitioners, online educators, online coaches, online entrepreneurs in general, like having them actually teach what they know and being able to serve people based on their zone of genius, where they actually are the practitioners in the trenches. It is just everything. So yeah, I mean, it was all just a bit of a random order, but I mean, yeah, it kind of, I'm glad it all happened in the end, you know? So
Yeah, that's the funny thing is I interview a lot of people and they're like, well, my story is actually really unusual about how I got into this whole thing. And then I find that everybody says that. It's like, it's true. Like we all don't plan on getting into like online coaching, marketing, whatever it is. But
yeah.
and a lot of us hear that, you know, in college, they don't really practice what they preach,
Mm.
but you actually experienced it for yourself first. So did you end up dropping out? Like, when did you leave?
Oh yeah, well, I was gonna say one thing, that it's kind of like, you know, when you get on a sales call and someone's like, yeah, but I'm different. And it's like your ideal client avatar is on the call with you. And like they're just like, yeah, but I'm different, you know? Like I tried all of that and it's just not working for me. And I'm like,
Exactly.
okay, yep, okay, that's right. No, but for real though, yes, I stayed it for 1 year, and I stayed for like 3 months more, because this was interesting about the degree, and this is where it had potential, kind of. So the first half of my second year at college, was a placement. So I had to go and work at another company, and for God's sake, I'd already left the corporate world. And because when I was enrolling in the degree, they told me, no, it's okay, you have your own business, so you can actually do your own business rather than doing someone else's business or working somewhere. So I was like, okay, cool, yeah, I'll go to this uni thing. And my gosh, I get there and they won't let me do it. They wouldn't let me. They changed the rules. A new admissions person came in. Oh gosh. So anyway, I ended up finding my friend that I'd known for a long time. And I went and worked at his company. Big company now, influencer.com. I was the third employee there, and I was working in influence marketing. Now, at this point, this was great, because while I was getting paid like around, I think after tax, it was about £800 a month, by the way. So I'm making like a fraction of what my business is doing. But, but I actually I got first dibs for any influencer deals that were coming through. And so it was quite funny, because like as I was sat there, like I was just cold calling pretty much all day. Like if we had a new client, so for example, we had like Fitbit and some other clients, I actually got these deals. So I made more from like 2 or 3 brand deals than I made like the whole time that I was working there. So that was quite funny. But yeah, so I only stayed for like a year and a half. Look, I think the corporate world kind of jaded me so much that I realized, yeah, like I'm just building towards another corporate career. And there's only so many things that you can do at once. And that was a big lesson for me, because it was like, okay, this fitness thing, am I actually going to back myself? Do I think that this can be sustainable in the long term? And if not, if it all fails, well, the worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to go back to a corporate job, which I really categorically can't do. But if that's the worst thing that can happen, then I don't even need a degree to do that because I already got that job that most people dream of having through going to uni. I already had it without going to uni. And so it's just like I just constantly went through these like moments where I realized the traditional way that a lot of people do things and achieve things and get things, I was able to get it without doing any of that stuff. And so why are there these constructs which we all see as the only way of getting something? Like, why is that there when it's just not true? But we believe it to be true, so it is true, because your beliefs ultimately are what is.
Yeah, I think, I mean, gosh, the regular world, for lack of a better term, is just like very behind in beliefs. And I do think that at some point in the next like 50 years, yeah, I think it's going to take them that long, where like what we do becomes more like normalized and accepted and is not seen as some incredibly risky way. Like for a lot of people listening that might have a job, like you don't have to like go all in and start your own business. Like you can be a freelancer, you can work online. There's so many options out there compared to just working a regular job. And that shift is already happening because now people don't even go to offices all the time. They work at home. So it's like freelancing is, it'll become more normal. But the whole point of that is, so it sounds like you kind of got started online 18, 19. You were fully out of a job at like 20-ish. So that means in about 3 years or so of, fully dedicating to your own business, you became a millionaire, which is very impressive. And the reason I call this podcast The Secrets of Scale is because I'd love for you to share your like top 1 to 3 secrets that allowed you to scale and become a millionaire in such a short amount of time.
The most important thing, honestly, was just having a way to get people to an outcome that I can operate at $1 million level. So what do I mean by that? Well, for the longest time, I was chasing selling something that seemed like a good idea, but that's because I didn't see everyone else's back end, pardon the term. But you see these big entrepreneurs who have, let's just say, a $97 offer and a $7 offer and a $17 offer. So I was seeing all of this on the front end and I was seeing them promote those things. And so I thought that that's how they were making their money for the longest time. Okay, this especially when I was like 19 years old. What I didn't realize is that the most important thing to have is a high ticket offer that converts at scale. Because if you have a high ticket offer that converts on the back end, then whatever you're funneling in on the front end, you can then call those leads up with the phone, dial them and enroll them on your high ticket because it converts, it converts. So the way that I think about it is this. If you were just to imagine like, I don't know, the way I see it is like just up here in the corner, I have this like ecosystem that's like churning and churning and churning and it's spinning. And whatever I throw at it, it's going to be this thing that's thrown there is going to be grabbed and pulled into the vortex. And so this is the sales process surrounding high ticket. So what does that look like? Well, that simply looks like a setter, AKA we call them a specialist. So a setter, right? So this is someone hitting the DMs or texting or phoning. They set a call onto a closer's calendar. That's the person that enrolls the client. And that's it, right? It's just so simple. And so for the most part, I don't overcomplicate things. Like a lot of my sales process and the majority of our revenue comes from people coming in, sending a DM to us. We then zap we have some bots in the DMs, but it doesn't even need the bot. So either lead sends a DM with a keyword. The bot then asks, what is your email? That then zaps over into our CRM. Or lead sends a DM saying, hi, how are you? Whatever, I'm just saying something random. Hey, Lauren, heard you on Troy's podcast. Was great to hear the content. Whatever, okay? Guys, test it out. You see it happen in reality. Then what will end up happening is then the bot will still fire and it will say like, hey, it's Lauren bot here. How can I help you? And there's like 2 options. Like literally, it's so simple. And it will say something like, become a client or speak to Lauren. Okay, speak to Lauren. Okay, boom. Okay, great. Would you like to get this free thing? If so, what's your email? They then send that email, boom, goes over to the CRM. If they don't want it, then okay, we just continue chatting. And then the setter's going to chat, book the sales call with the closer, close the deal. Again, none of this requires any funnels, doesn't require anything complex. I just want to like remove all of that, anything, just to keep it so simple. So I was doing that in fitness coaching as well. Honestly, even in fitness coaching, I wish I had a team behind me. I just didn't really understand how to build a team, so I never hired anyone really, like maybe a video editor and some couple of assistants back then, but I just didn't really understand the importance of that. So for me, it's just going back to your point though, because my brain's like going in many directions right now, but in order to scale, it really comes down to getting an outcome-oriented high-ticket offer converting without you. Because to be honest though, even to get to like the $1 million level, like it will probably all just be you. Actually, you can probably just do that all by yourself pretty easily. You don't really need anyone else involved there. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I would say is just staying so focused and like actually focusing on that one thing, because it doesn't need to be complicated at all. Like there's so much temptation out there with so many different options and things to do. And so I think as well, Troy, this is why what you do is so great, because like email marketing is for us as well. DMs and email marketing, they're the two ways that we make by far our most money. And yes, we're pushing people to a sales call, but again, that's because it's a high ticket offer. I mean, it just is the best way to generate revenue. And I'd actually love to hear from you, like, why do you think email makes so much money?
Yeah, so first, gosh, that was really good. The thing that really struck me is like now I'm in two businesses, right? So like I'm doing email paramedic, and then I'm also helping Julia with fitness. And it's a whole new world to me because I've never done like I've always done B2B or like coaching people who want to be in B2B. Fitness is like a different game for me. And you're another smart person that has just like drilled into my head that it's as simple as like, hey, here's a group, give people value, message them. And
Yeah.
it can be that simple without all the complicated funnels and whatnot. But regardless, whatever business somebody's doing, it's like you just have to have that main method that you contact them. So I teach email. Naturally, I'm going to email people. You're just messaging people who are in a group, maybe just regular, people that want to start business or, fitness business, whatever. They are just on Facebook. So they want to hear from you on Facebook or Instagram or wherever they are. But for me, email is amazing because I send them, well, when they join my list, about 2 messages a day. They're completely relevant to what they opted in for. I can also trigger messages just about any time they take an action that indicates interest. And it's just really clever and creative for me. And my audience hangs out more on their email inbox because they're business people. But as I get more and more into coaching and using a lot of the amazing advice that you're giving, and lately I've been talking like Chris Evans and Jason Capital and gosh, so many people that are like really, really good, including yourself. So I'm excited to try that out more and more as I go from like 90% B2B to maybe like 50-50, where it's like doing work for clients and also coaching. But yeah, I suppose that's my answer. I just feel very good about it right now. So thank you.
No, that's good. Yeah, like I think, see, here's what it comes down to when it comes to, email messaging, like all this different stuff. When you know what outcome you're taking people to, and when you know who those people are that you're taking along your framework to the outcome, then you can get in front of those people on whatever platform they're using the most. And so whether that is email, whether that is on Instagram DMs, whether that's Facebook groups, it doesn't really matter. But what matters is this, is that anytime someone is like actually expressing an interest in you, they're commenting on your post, they're liking your post, they're replying to your stories, they're opting into your email list from whatever freebie that you have out there, why are you not following up with them? It actually gives me heart palpitations as to how many people are getting DMs come through or getting comments or getting people requesting to join their Facebook group or people liking their photos, that they're just letting them sit there. It's even worse if you have people on your email list, maybe whose phone numbers you have, and you're not phoning them. Oh my goodness me. And so a lot of times entrepreneurs will be like, oh, but I'm too busy. I don't have time to do that. And so I ask them, what's your number one problem in your business? And 9 times out of 10, they say, I need to reach more people and get more leads. And so I'm saying to you, these are all leads. They're more contacts, they're more people in your ecosystem, but very easily, they're like on the edge right now of turning into an actually highly qualified lead. And so this is why this whole process of following these scripts and the DMs and everything, I do not like that. Instead, what I have is a checklist. And so we call it the money making messaging method. It's one of the things that, like, I'd say Impact School is the most decently well known for. And the money making messaging method is literally a checklist of outcomes that you need to get out of someone during your conversation with them. So I'll give you a few examples of what it might be if it was fitness. Okay. So if the outcome that you're taking people to in fitness is helping them drop 15 pounds of body fat, let's just say. So you're having people drop 15 pounds of body fat. Well, one of the checkpoint items that you need to have in the conversation is, are they trying to lose 15 pounds of body fat or more? And so you're not just going to type in the chat, are you trying to lose 15 pounds of body fat? You can ask a couple of setup questions to get them to reveal that outcome. So let's say they like your photo. Well, what you can do is you can actually go over to their profile, check out their profile, see what their photos are about. And let's say there's a photo of them with a dog. What you can do is push that photo into their DMs and say, haha, your cute little chow chow is so fluffy. What's his name? Okay, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's just give them a compliment and ask them a question. Now, if you have a load of credibility and a load of authority, and this person is really obsessed with you because maybe they've commented on your photos or something like this, or they've just expressed interest and they've been in your ecosystem a while and you recognize that name, then you don't necessarily need to ask the question, okay? Because sometimes asking the question can actually look a bit too pushy. So you have to think like a human and not like a robot, and actually just use your initiative, right? And so this is why I don't personally like to hire VAs from countries where they don't natively speak my language, because I don't find that they can have that kind of banter like I would perhaps have with people. You know, I'm from the UK, I'm pretty sarcastic. So if someone can't model that, it's not really something that you can necessarily train. So I actually have actual salespeople doing this because they have that witty banter. So just going back to that point. So yeah, you initiate the conversation somehow. Maybe they even come into your DMs. So let's say, yeah, you've started the conversation and then they reply saying, oh yeah, I've had him for a couple of years. His name's Benji. Okay, whatever. So then I'm going to reply back being like, oh, that's great. By the way, notice you've been liking a few of my posts lately. Would love to know if there's any content in particular you would like for me to share anytime soon. I'm just trying to gather some feedback from my audience. Okay. Then they'll go into what they actually want. They will begin to either talk about why they like your content or what their goals are or what their struggles are. Now, a struggle is also another checkpoint item that you want to get from them in the conversation. Because when you know what their struggles are, again, you're tapping into their subconscious mind as to why they need you. They're going to start typing down their problems. That's reiterating to them why they need your help. And they're associating you with someone who can create that solution for them, because you're empowering them to actually begin to address their own problems and their needs. So they'll say, oh, well, I just love your content. Honestly, there's nothing in particular. I'm just following along. Okay, if they're just kind of saying that, it's pretty dead. It's pretty dead conversation. So let's use a little bit of a spark to really just push them over, see if they're gonna dabble with it. Because if not, then okay, no stress. We move on to the next, right? There's hundreds of leads. They're in abundance. Okay, they're in abundance. So if they say something that's a bit dead, you can be like, oh, okay, well, I appreciate you. Just out of interest, I'm trying to conduct some research right now just to see who in my community is trying to do XYZ, right? XYZ. So for you, it would be trying to drop body fat and love their bodies. something like this. Okay. And then if they say, yes, they're interested, then at that point you can use that. Aha. Okay, cool. Now I actually have an in. I have an in to proceed this conversation and get the rest of my checklist items. So I'd have like 2 or 3 more on the checklist. One of the things on the checklist to add in the conversation is going to be a client testimonial. Okay, so you want to actually loop in a client testimonial rather than just having outcomes that you need the prospect to reveal. It's also going to be, I guess, things that they've read or things that they have like actually heard you say. So some of the checklist items are things that they'll answer you with, and then some of the checklist items are things that you want to make sure that they are able to acknowledge. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That was an absolute clinic right there. Are you still going? Like, please keep going if you.
Okay. I'll keep going. I'll keep going. So I just wanted to make sure, because sometimes for me, this is so like it's just like so intuitive to me. And the really cool thing about this as well is that not only can you follow this process inside of a DMs or texting, you can also do it if you're talking to someone on the street. Okay, so as an example, okay, you know that you need to understand what is their goal, what is their struggle, what's a client testimonial that I can put in here. Well, for me as well, another one that I want to know is, are they the decision maker? Do they have the authority? Because if they're going to need to speak to their partner, or they have a business partner that they need to talk to, again, it's not going to be super productive you going in for the sales conversation. So as you're in your chat, you don't just necessarily want to say, so when you, I see this in application forms all the time. So when you make important financial decisions, is there anyone that you need to consult with? You don't want to say this, okay? Instead, you want to be like, wow, that's a really inspiring goal. Just out of interest, is this your own business, or do you have any other partners at your company? Something like that. Or if it was B2C, you could say, wow, I'm so sorry to hear that you've been struggling with this for so long, but don't worry, you're in good hands. In fact, just out of interest, how do your friends and family feel about you going through all that? Okay, again, that's going to set up the question where you can then go in for the kill and actually ask the direct question, which is going to reveal, are you the sole decision maker? So I'm always trying to play the game of chess, because the game of chess is going to allow me to get what I want. And so when you can master this game, you're able to truly dictate your lead flow and your sales and the direction of anything, really. But it really comes down to understanding the psychology of your ideal client. Because the psychology of your ideal client, I believe that your unique selling proposition is just knowing your ideal client better than anyone else. And so how can you know them better than anyone else if you are trying to help people do this and help people do that and help them do that too? It's like, know the outcome and master that outcome. And then once you've done that, then you can continuously scale people, serve people at scale. So
That was amazing. Thank you. Another fun note too, you call it chess. I like to call it a simulation because a lot of people, people are catching on, right? So like, we're marketers, we're trying to help people, but a lot of people have this block, like, oh, I can't be sold to. So it's like, how long can you assimilate and just feel like a regular conversation with a regular person before they figure out like, oh, they're trying to sell me something. And it's not just in conversations, but like, I don't know if you're familiar with the Copy Accelerator Circle, but like Scott Phillips, he has a crypto offer. And Alan Soltanich, he's been talking about this too, the podcast VSL. So basically they're running traffic to like a podcast, but it's really just a VSL in disguise. And it's like the smartest thing ever, and it's crushing right now. Yeah. So being able to like in my world, prior to a few months ago, like this whole chat thing was very foreign to me. I was like, yeah, maybe that works good for some people, but like, I don't see how I could ever use that for myself. And I was hearing these things about like VSLs and like different tricks and like webinars, and like, you're really just taking all the things that I was familiar with in my brain, and you're just doing them in chat. And it's amazing to hear that. And now there's very many successful people I've heard that are doing this strategy. So I have like the ultimate confidence in it now, and I need to use it for.
Well, I think it all works. That's the thing though. everything works. Like everything does work. That's the like I have VSLs, right? I love VSLs. I love email honestly too. I mean, I love email because you take one piece of copy and take it to the masses. It all works. I just think that when you, for example, this, right? Like email, you have to speak to everyone. You're talking to you can't tailor your message. And that's why, again, if you build a targeted list, that's great. However, if someone is going to convert on chat, like you can convert someone on chat story that you might not be able to convert on email. Same thing with a phone call, because you're discussing with them on a one-to-one basis. But then an email, at the click of a button, you're hitting everyone at scale. So I think that it's like I see it like a seesaw, right? This is honestly how I see it. Like if I have a lot of people in Messenger right now or in DMs or whatever, like I'm not going to send a massive email, because the problem is my sales team will get overloaded. Whereas if I don't have enough DMs, then we'll just send an email to get sales calls. And so it's nice because you can choose from either. But I just really like following up in some way, shape, or form. Texting them, phoning them, however it may be, to loop them back in. Like it's just another way to essentially retarget people. It's just being done through human interaction. But as well as that, I mean, that's the great thing. Everything works, but you just have to double down. And so for coaching offers, for consulting offers, for agency and courses and digital products, like I've seen that this model works just really, really nicely, like really nicely. But I would never say sacrifice building your own list and gathering your own data in favor of this, because owning your own data is the most powerful thing. Because then like I like on the top of the funnel, I like to capture email. And then middle of the funnel, I like to capture phone numbers. That's really my strategy if we really boil it down like very, very simply. But while that's all going on, I'm also pushing them through into my Instagram DMs mainly and my Facebook. We haven't even spoken about Facebook groups, but there's just a lot of stuff that you can do. But having one core way to convert people, in my mind, is key, because all of it's really, for me, all of it's coming down to pushing them into this like little ecosystem where we convert them into high ticket.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be very clear to everybody who's listening, yes, like everything does work to some extent. So you have to figure out what works best for you. And stick to one thing and figure out that one thing before you move on to another thing, believe me.
Right.
Now, the other cool thing too is that there's some overlap, because I think I had a list maybe like a year and a half ago. It was like 600, 700 people, very engaged. But I sent out an email. I was like, hey, do you ever go to spam? Reply and let me know. I closed 2 clients off that for $6K. And one of them owns what I think is a 9-figure company that's going public very soon. And he just replied to my email. And I was like, I had no idea this dude was on my list. Like,
that's
wild.
awesome.
So like that was chatting away. It just wasn't on Instagram. It wasn't on Messenger. So that's a great reminder. Thank you for sharing that too.
It's like it's the back and forth. That's so true. Because then people feel seen and heard as well. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, so many people I don't think reply to the emails that they get from their email list, or they don't encourage responses. That is so powerful when you actually get people to reply. And
it's good for your deliverability too. So I tell people all the time, like, here's one thing that like my audience kind of knows about. It's at faqemail.com. But basically what I did is, anytime somebody opted in for my list for like one of my info products, a couple hours later, I'd just say like, hey, first name, what's your #1 question about email marketing? Reply and let me know. So now we have like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of responses. And we took the ones that came coming up like over and over, put them into like this FAQ sheet. So now we know exactly the questions that our audience asks over and over. And then we created this opt-in. It says like, hey, if you have any questions about email, like I literally guarantee it's answered in this document. And that's what I put at faqemail.com. So
I'm signing up now. faqemail.com.
faqemail.com. There's lots and lots and lots of like questions on there. It was really fun to put together.
I just signed up. Perfect. I'm in. I've got it. Perfect. See, but as well, like how simple is that? I mean, I know it's a lot that you've done, but it's so cool because it's like a landing page and then a Google Doc. It's great. I love it. I
Yeah,
love
and it's
Google
just
Docs for you.
simple, and like I'm
Yeah,
not even really optimizing that or trying too hard. I just want to give people value.
for
That's
sure.
it.
That's it. That is what I've realized it's all about. That is what it's all about. And as well, I think a lot of times people won't create some type of lead generation tool, like a lead, whatever lead magnet it happens to be. They make the barrier to entry too high for themselves because they think it needs to be this crazy thing. But it really comes down to delivering people value and then ensuring that they then associate you with one particular outcome. And then the
Totally.
more you can take that mind share, that is the where the power is.
Yeah, up until probably 6 to 12 months ago, I always thought the word value was overrated. Like, oh, just like give value. But now I'm like, wow, I was dumb for thinking that way. And because it's true, it's like when you start out, here's another thing. Like when you start out, you just think that you have to make sales on day one, otherwise the whole business is like dead. And sure,
Mhm.
you can pick up a few like, low-hanging fruit clients, or they either know you, or like you're running Facebook ads and the algorithm knows they're likely to buy. So once you scoop up all those people, like, and you're not making sales on day one anymore, like don't hit the panic button. Like that's
Mhm.
okay. Like that's probably the number one thing I learned from Alex Becker is just like the people who win are the people who don't think that it has to happen on day one.
Mm.
Because you can't scale like that anyway from an advertising perspective.
So true. So true.
Any
Someone wanted to ask me to ask you, what does boom boom mean?
So that's my friend Paul Hoffman. He was on a previous episode, and Paul basically, oh my gosh, he has this crazy story where he started out like going to school on a basketball scholarship, and then it got blown up, and then he went on and became Pink Floyd's tour manager, and he like went on this crazy journey, and now he basically helps people with mindset, and he likes
Hmm.
to use this phrase. I want to create transformational havoc. So boom, boom, to my best understanding, is he's creating that havoc and just like things are like clicking for you.
Got it.
So hopefully Paul listens and he hears the shout out.
I think I've heard of his name before. Like, was he on Clubhouse, maybe? Were you on Clubhouse
I'm not really on there. Like I've been on there a couple times, but trying to
before?
reduce things. But is
I
he?
feel you
I'm
on that.
not sure if he's on there. I have no idea.
Okay, someone else wanted me to ask you, what are your secrets? This is from Victor Austin. What are your secrets that you use to generate high converting leads and clients?
Um, for my clients, I guess I'll talk about myself personally. So the biggest thing is just the offer. So I know it's becoming somewhat like saturated, but the offer is still killer. It's like, hey, I'm going to take your emails. I literally guarantee an increase in open rates, and obviously higher opens, higher sales. I guarantee it. Like, how could you say no to that offer? And it's just killed it over and over and over. So our whole hook is like educating people about the promo tab and the easiest way to get out of it, which essentially is like my anti-promo tab code offer, as I call it. So it's like, we fix this problem for you right now. You never have to worry about it again. You don't have to like deal with algorithms and deliverability and technicalities. Like we just fix it for you and it's done. So it's like you have a good offer, and we just put the offer in front of so many people with ads for about a year. And at this point, it's gotten a little more saturated where so many people have heard about it and so many people have bought it. So now we're going to go low ticket and then get people on the phone, and we're like reworking how we package stuff to make it even better um, and more like fully encompassing. So it works for a long time to just like run ads and get people to opt in, like watch something, book a call, whatever. Same thing that you do, except you message people. Um, but now we're building a little more robust system. But for a lot of our clients on that end, and the people that I find are most successful, like some people we close and they don't want to really change anything. And they think that we're going to be a magic bullet. But the people who are most successful are the people who have at least a decent offer to bring people onto the list. And most people that we sign on already have that. But the thing we need to add is high ticket, like you said. Like it's really easy to add high ticket for anybody who's listening. For most people, if you've got like some kind of coaching program or you're showing somebody how to do something, you can literally, like, even if you're new, just sell like a one-on-one consult or a one-on-one package where you do something for someone and then just raise the price somewhere between like 3 and 10K, depending on what the value of that is. So it can vary. If anybody has questions, you can ask me about it. I'm pretty active on Facebook, but it's that simple. It's like, if you don't have a high ticket, like, what are you doing?
Thanks. That is very, very true.
Yeah,
And they
like
should listen to the part where I was talking about build the outcome and the mini milestones and stuff. I did a talk at Warren about it as well. It's on my YouTube channel. It should probably be quite helpful for people. It's called like build a high ticket program. I don't know, something like that.
Got it. Now, let me ask you this too. Since you've been spitting fire all day long, where can people get more fire from you?
So I have a Facebook group and it's called Impact School, Frameworks to Grow Coaching Courses, Cash Flow. And you can join there. So I'm actually in 1 minute, I'm doing a live training there. So that's that. It's actually funny. I have one of my coaches coming on and we're actually going to talk about email, but it's nothing as in depth as your stuff, I'm sure. Just for people who are trying to get started with that or who have a list. And yeah, but anyways, it's really, not our main thing that we focus on. It's just a little tactical thing. And then I also have a podcast as well called Impact School, and I'm just Lauren Tickner all across social media. So yeah, LaurenTickner. If you enjoyed this, please just drop me a DM on IG and you'll see the whole process in action, and maybe you can funnel hack me and have some fun.
Well, that's amazing. So once again, Lauren, you've been amazing. Thank you so much. We will connect in the very near future
Yes.
after your call.
And
yeah. Thank you so much.
I didn't realize the time that went so fast. It was fun.
Time flies when you're having fun. That's all I'm going to say. Thanks. So, all right. Well, thank you for tuning in. Thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you next week.